Merry Christmas, la-dee-da-dee-da.
There has been a lot of good Christmas specials over all television. The CGI, the stop-motion animation, and some really unexpected shows getting musical numbers that you would never expect. Now we're gonna uncover some of the Nickelodeon specials that are the most famous, and some of the ones you probably forgot about, but really need a refresher on. Think of me as your Christmas guide this year, as we dive into Big Time Rush, Danny Phantom, and just many, many more. My name's Johnny 2000, and let's get a nostalgic Christmas going. Happy holidays, everyone! We've got a special surprise for you. So Christmas on Nickelodeon is more than just some holiday specials. It's a tradition that spanned over decades, bringing laughter, lessons, and just the right amount of nostalgia to generations of kids. It started with the first Christmas special airing in 1991 with Doug's Christmas Story. See, that's not really nostalgic to me, so as Johnny 2000, I'm not gonna go into that one. Nickelodeon solidified its reputation for creating heartwarming, hilarious, and sometimes downright bizarre holiday episodes. We can't forget the SpongeBob holiday episode, the Fairly OddParents one, and there's even a bunch of specials that I forgot existed that snuck their way in, like the Jimmy Neutron one, the My Life as a Teenage Robot one, and we're even gonna tackle some of the live action ones like iCarly and Victorious. Now, the Christmas specials don't just focus on fun, they tackle important themes like family, friendship, and giving back, which is kind of what Christmas is all about. I remember them calling it Nickmas, and that was always a fun celebration of the holidays. And as Nickelodeon grew, the holiday specials continued, like Drake and Josh eventually got their Christmas movie, which never really was expected considering that most of their episodes weren't around holidays at all. So grab a cup of eggnog, snuggle up in your favorite blanket, and join us as we unwrap every Nickelodeon Christmas special that I think matters, from the nostalgic classics to the modern hits. And this is going to be your ultimate 2000s Nickelodeon Nickmas countdown. Make sure to check out some of my other videos. I don't have a lot of subscribers right now, and I really want to up my game, so if you guys can like, subscribe, share with your friends, anything.
For Victorious, we have A Christmas Story. So in A Christmas Story, which is a parody of A Christmas Story, we have a Christmas episode of Victorious. See, I don't usually report on Victorious, like I've always loved this show, but I don't talk about it too much. But this is interesting because out of like iCarly, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, there's not a lot of Christmas specials. But this one is really interesting. It starts in the classroom. The Hollywood art students are celebrating the holidays, and the school's decorated for the occasion. So Robbie's dressed as Santa Claus, Kat's enthusiastic about everything, and of course Jade is the Christmas Grunch. Tori gets in trouble because apparently they made a Christmas song, and it wasn't good. Psychowitz says that everybody is forced to give their Secret Santa gift to the person, and whoever gives the worst present is going to be forced to go door-to-door Christmas yodeling with Psychowitz on Christmas Eve, which, wow, I don't think that sounds lame. That kind of sounds fun to me. So basically, the entire cast have to give a really good gift, and whoever gives the worst has to suffer. As Kat distributes her brother's Christmas beef around the school, Jade complains to Psychowitz about the assignment because she is Tori's Secret Santa and requests to switch, but nobody else wants to. Beck, meanwhile, is reduced to constantly drinking many cups of coffee in order to keep himself awake. For Beck's gift to Robbie, he brings his old bully Christy Vicaris to get even. However, Robbie's too distracted about how hot she looks, and the two end up actually going on a coffee date. Oh, that's actually a good present, Beck. For Beck's Secret Santa, Andre actually gets the cricket that has been keeping Beck up at night from his RV, which is actually a really good present. So Tori's Andre's Secret Santa, but has trouble coming up with a good gift to give him. She at first thinks it's a mini ceramic guitar, but Trina warns her that this gift is useless to Andre. Tori ultimately decides against it and sees Robbie's gift to Kat, which is a cotton candy cart, and a man that follows her around for the week, and realizes she has to up her game. Kat is Jade's Secret Santa and amazes her by buying her a new pair of scissors from The Scissoring, which is, what the heck? That's really a horror movie in this universe? Guys, that's like so inappropriate. Tori witnesses and proceeds to ask them for ideas to help with Andre's gift. While Jade is at first dismissive, she later shows up to Tori's house to reveal herself as Tori's Secret Santa. Jade realizes the perfect gift to Tori would be to give her an idea for the perfect gift for Andre. Whew. But she forces her to beg for it, which doesn't make Tori feel good about herself. So basically, Tori gets 3 singers to sing Andre's Christmas song, It's Not Christmas Without You, to show Anthony that it's worth a better grade, and that would inevitably be the present. Eventually, Andre joins in and sings with them as well, and Anthony does concede that Andre's gift deserves an A after hearing the song in full. In the end, Psychowitz concedes that everybody gave wonderfully creative presents to each other, other, and that he was the one who gave the worst one, so he goes Christmas yodeling with a group of strangers for Christmas Eve. This episode's really fun because it's just a bunch of kids finding the perfect Christmas gifts for each other, and I love plots like that. I love it when a Christmas episode is about getting the perfect present, because you have to see a little bit more into the other characters and what they love and what they don't love, and how far characters are willing to go to appease one another. And I definitely think we got to see a really sweet side of every character in this show, except for Jade. Jade, you definitely just put Tori through a lot of stuff this episode. But you know, is that really surprising from Jade's perspective? In the subplot, Trina gets a giant Christmas tree for the Vega house, which is so big that she has to climb it to get the star on. She actually asks Robbie to help decorate it, promising him pizza and a hug. In the end, Trina and Robbie enjoy each other's company for Christmas, which is a really sweet thing, but it doesn't really get anything interesting. This is actually the second episode that's a holiday episode, with the first one being April Fool's Blank, which is considered non-canon because apparently everything that happened didn't technically count. The title of the episode is a reference to the 1983 Christmas movie A Christmas Story, with Tori's name plugged in there. And this is one of the few episodes that Tori, Jade, Kat, and Andre performed together, which is really cute because the first time they did was All I Want Is Everything from the Locked Up special. Overall, this is a really good Christmas episode, and I feel like even though Victorious is getting kind of off the rails in this season, it's definitely a good break from the normal. Next, we have one of my all-time favorite Christmas specials. Not only is it a 20-minute episode, it's a 2-part episode. The Big Time Rush Christmas. The boys are excited for Christmas, and the mom says that Christmas isn't about toys, which of course the mom character is gonna say. The boys are talking about giving a present to the Gustavo, which is their boss, and I think that's pretty sweet. You guys didn't have to do that. When it's Gustavo's turn to give a present, he just literally tells Kelly to get them something good. Griffin, who is their manager, essentially tells them that they need to make a Christmas album, which is ridiculous. Like, the entire first season was them recording one album, and now they have to do it within a single episode? Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, it is a 2-part episode, so maybe it's not. Which means that Gustavo can't really go to Fiji. So Gustavo agrees to make this album, and the boys are excited, which I'm excited for them. The boys try to get Gustavo to wear PJs, but he's not into it, because of course he's not. Pretty much everybody's gone for the holidays, whether it's at Palm Woods with Katie trying to decorate. And we get to our first musical number where all the boys are setting up the studio for Christmas, which is really cute. They bring in a couch, they bring in ornaments, it's fun. And we're pretty much introduced to the fact that this is probably going to be a musical episode. It's really cool to see the studio set up like Christmas. Like, I feel like it makes everybody into the holiday spirit, whether we want it to or not. There's a narrator that comes in since the beginning, and he essentially turns the plot into part of a storybook, which is actually really cute. The boys essentially need a celebrity cameo in order to make one of their songs, and they turn on the TV to find Miranda Cosgrove talking about how she's still in LA. Oh my gosh, if Miranda Cosgrove was featured on my album, I would die. So Gustavo and the boys try to sneak into Miranda's event to try to feature her with their album. Gustavo dresses up as Santa Claus, which is uncomfortably too accurate. And basically there's like a long sequence where they're trying to get past Miranda's security, which is kind of funny. And the security guard lets them in because it's Christmas, so that's their present to him, which the security guard, you should not be doing that. I definitely think that's like a danger. In the B-plot, Katie is trying to get the hotel manager from the Palm Woods to be into Christmas, but he just seems like he's not interested, because everybody seems to be gone around this time in the holidays, which for somebody who lives in LA, like, I get that. It's definitely, like, the emptiest time of year. The boys sneak onto the set of Miranda's live show, which is, I don't know what she would actually do if Miranda Cosgrove had her own live show. Like, what sketches, musical numbers, I don't know. Miranda, if you have your own live Christmas show, I don't know what it's going to consist of. Not that you're not really talented, but it's just like, what would that need to be? The boys run into Fabio, which is one of the unnecessary cameos that we start with, but definitely funny. I like that everything they do is out of comedic appearance. They mention that Fabio is the guest star, but he's not really a good singer, so of course the boys come in that they could sing, and that's their superpower, I don't know. The show is called Have Yourself a Miranda Little Christmas, which, what the heck, guys? Fabio shows up with pizza, which has candy canes and mints on it, which is disgusting. I don't know what this little show is with Miranda, but it's really cute, and I love her outfit when she comes out, and this is the best number in the entire series. All I Want for Christmas Is You, Big Time Rush featuring Miranda Cosgrove. Write that down, guys. This is as good as it gets. The harmonies the boys use in this is so ridiculously good. And then they have a little music number, which is essentially them just fooling around in Christmas spirit. And it works really well. Like, I definitely think it's really good. After successfully nailing the song with Miranda, the boys are told they need another celebrity guest. We're interrupted by Snoop Dogg coming into the special, which is ridiculous. So now for some reason, Snoop Dogg is indebted to Gustavo and has to write a song with the boys and before he has to go to his grandmother. This enacts like another musical number with Snoop Snoop Dogg where they're essentially rapping one of the Christmas songs. Snoop Dogg's really kind of funny in kids scenarios. I like this guy. Just because of the fact that he was in a Big Time Rush episode gives me a lot more respect for him. Turns out Griffin doesn't like this first song with Snoop Dogg, giving them only 15 minutes to come up with another entire song. So Gustavo is basically freaking out in the music room until Gustavo has an idea. It turns out to be a chipmunk theme song with the boys singing about how they'd love to stay in their pajamas for Christmas, tying in the early plot where they just wanted to wear pajamas and keep trying to make everybody wear pajamas. Katie tries to get the hotel manager into Christmas by playing It's a Wonderful Life, which, Katie, there's no way somebody your age would like this black and white movie. The whole subplot with the manager and Katie makes me feel like it's like kind of like a Scrooge scenario where he's not really into the holidays because of people's opinion about him. And it's fun watching Katie try to convince him that the holidays are a good time. Kendall says everybody loves ham, which is an insult to all vegetarians everywhere. And everybody celebrates as they got the entire album done on Christmas Eve somehow, which is a ridiculous task. The boys can't get home to Minnesota, but it's all okay because they end up having Christmas at the Palm Woods. And then finally we can weave in the plot with Katie and Mr. Bitters by celebrating Christmas one last time, and then we get to see Mr. Bitters actually really enjoy Christmas. And then it's like a really sweet ending. So that was our Big Time Rush Christmas episode. Definitely was a lot of fun, and we got some really good musical numbers in there. I definitely would vote for All I Want for Christmas Is You to be the best one of this specific special. I'm not sure if you guys disagree. Put it in the comments. I'm not going to read it. So let's switch to a cartoon. My Life as a Teenage Robot has a Christmas special, which is kind of random because the show is like very technology based. The episode is called A Robot for All Seasons. On Christmas Eve, a robotic Santa Claus zips by hundreds of homes around the world, leaving presents for all the kids. The robot turns out to be Jenny, who took over the role of Santa Claus after Santa Claus got into a mysterious accident and broke every bone in his body. Jenny returns to the North Pole, and she, along with Mrs. Wakeman, Brad, Tuck, and Sheldon, celebrate Christmas by having a day-long feast with Santa at his palace. Santa Claus has a palace, which means he's super rich, which doesn't really make sense for the narrative. Afterward, they decide to spend a day checking out after Christmas sales at the Tremorton Mall. At the mall, Jenny meets Todd Sweeney, a gloomy child in a suit who is depressed about not getting what he wanted for Christmas. Disrespectful boy. This guy is spoiled. Jenny tries to make up for it by asking what he wants for Christmas, and impressed with his transforming gadgets, Todd decides to buy her a live-action robot figure, which she agrees to, but only for one day. She soon discovers that Todd comes from an extremely wealthy family, but as he says, money can't buy happiness. At the mansion, Todd puts an antenna on Jenny's head and she pretends to be his robot servant. She's surprised to see that Todd's many toys, originally believing that he never gets anything for Christmas, Todd says he never gets anything he wants, which isn't toys or love, but weapons. He wants weapons for Christmas, which actually comes to Jenny's shock. He transforms the living room into an evil laboratory, and it turns out the one thing he wanted for Christmas was weapons. So this guy's a little evil little boy that really wants things that are anti-Christmas, and Jenny is the one that's helping him come through with this. This makes me question what the show is really about. I love that it's a very much technology versus real life happiness, and it definitely comes across in this winter special. Sometimes later, Jenny reboots and awakens, and she's strapped to the table. This rich guy who really wants to have a good Christmas, but really in a destructive way, Jenny manages to escape and head back to the town. And we get this really long, sad sequence where we see Jenny walking around the town and nobody recognizes her, even her own mother, and you kind of feel like really bad for her, like more than a normal episode would entail. They really build up to this being a huge issue, and we're not quite sure why everything is going wrong, but, stick around and find out. As she heads through town, they learn Tucker, Brad, Sheldon, and everybody want to stay away from her. Like, what is going on? Miss Wakeman sends out the Skyward Patrol. Jenny returns to Todd's mansion and confronts him about making her destroy the holidays. Todd explains that his parents went on vacation to the Bermuda many Christmases ago, so he has a traumatic experience with it, leaving him alone with his servants. And then we figure out, apparently Jenny has been gone for a year, and over this course of time, she basically wreaked havoc and destruction all across the town until this point. That's actually a really big deal. Like, an entire year she was gone, so everything just progressed, like, without her. For me as the viewer, that's actually a really tough pill to swallow. Like, I'm very confused and scared at this point. And this is a Christmas episode, not a horror, but, I don't know, it has that same thing as Courage the Cowardly Dog, where it's like, there's an eerie vibe to it, but you can't necessarily call it a horror. I don't know, maybe I'm just exaggerating. He resolves that if he can't enjoy the holidays, then neither can anyone else on Earth. So he's been using Jenny essentially to become this anti-Christmas-like figure. With everybody against Jenny and Jenny on this wealthy kid's side, only Sheldon really believes that she's trying to do good. But nobody believes him. At the North Pole, Todd uses Jenny's array of weapons to bypass the elf guards, eventually making it into the palace. A fight ensues between Santa and a mind-controlled Jenny, with the latter triumphing. Todd then reveals to Santa as the boy who destroyed Christmas, and he was responsible for his injury last year. Before he could fully take out Santa and ruin Christmas forever, Jenny suddenly reverts back to her normal self again and gives Todd a spanking. I don't want to see somebody being spanked on Christmas. Jenny reveals that Sheldon disabled Todd's mind-controlling remote, and she only faked being controlled to get him to confess his misdeeds with Santa, resorting in their faith in her. Unfortunately, all of Tremorton's presents were destroyed in the fight. In an attempt to fix the damages, Jenny and the others decide to give the kids Todd's unwanted toys and presents, as well as show him the gift of giving rather than receiving. When Todd is able to give a toy to a happy kid, his gloominess literally cracks away, and he becomes a happy and joyful, reformed kid. His parents suddenly return, which I don't know if that's how they return, saying that they were not retired, but they were tired and needed a longer vacation and wanted to bring back the perfect gift for him. However, Todd realizes and admits that they are all he really wants, and Christmas is about family, not presents, which they agree. And as a token of gratitude for having never lost faith in her, Jenny gives Sheldon a mistletoe kiss on the cheek, which literally leaves him frozen with shock. The episode ends with everybody, including Todd, singing "We're Spending Christmas with Santa/Jenny," while Tuck frantically breaks the fourth wall, questioning who they're singing to and how they managed to sing perfectly without practice, which was really funny. This episode actually made it on to the home video Nick Picks Holiday DVD, which is really cool. And it was later made available on the My Teenage Robot Season 2 manufactured on DVD set, which I have in my collection, don't want to brag. And a lot of this special screams holiday spirit, and I love that it's about Jenny trying to convince this spoiled kid to really figure out what the holidays are all about, and until she gets through her mind control, then they learn. James Marsden was Todd Sweeney, which is funny because it's like literally the reverse Sweeney Todd Sweeney.
All around, great Christmas episode. I wasn't expecting a musical number, but I was super excited to have it. This show definitely got lost to time and is underappreciated, so I definitely recommend giving it a watch, and especially this Christmas episode. It's just very fulfilling. So without further ado, let's get on to the next Christmas episode, Fairly OddParents.
The Fairly OddParents Christmas special is notorious for being one of the best Christmas specials. I remember feeling like this was such a good idea because, of course, any kid would want to wish that Christmas was every day. Basically, Timmy Turner loves Christmas so much that he believes that it deserves to be every day, so he wishes for Cosmo and Wanda to have it happen every day.
We see a side of Timmy that we don't usually see, where he shows that he loves to actually spend time with his parents, and how much he actually suffers with Vicky, especially considering that Christmas is the one day he's away from her, which is really sad that he's yearning for something like that. So then we get to see Timmy reap all the benefits of having Christmas every day, like they had to miss school, the snow keeps falling, and he gets buttloads of presents literally every day.
But it backfires because apparently it runs Santa down and they don't have enough presents to last them forever. As the snow builds in Dimsdale, everybody suffers more and more from Christmas being every day. The subplot of Timmy's dad being obsessed with eggnog is really relatable because I love eggnog, and I know not a lot of people do, but it's definitely a good one. Timmy has this trope where he always jumps into a house full of presents, but it doesn't work this year because apparently he's been getting too many presents. Everybody in town is resentful of how Christmas is going on for too long, and we come to this common trope where it's kind of kids versus parents, where Timmy makes a wish that is benefiting kids, but essentially bad for parents. The Easter Bunny and all the other holidays get really resentful, including the April Fool's Day guy, and Santa becomes unable to deliver all the presents. The Easter Bunny and all the other holidays try to team up against Santa Claus because they feel like it's unfair that he gets all this attention. So Timmy has to help Santa Claus actually be able to fight back in this. Timmy decides that in order to redo his wrong, he will have to deliver the presents. I didn't know Christmas was in fairy world too. I didn't realize that was a religious thing. It seems like it's a little controversial, guys. In the end, Santa has enough power to take down all the other holidays, and they decide that Christmas should not be given this much attention. This episode's fun because it's, the parents essentially waking up every morning to have Christmas, and Timmy getting all the positive things that come with having Christmas every day, but everybody else slowly deteriorating. Because of course that's how Christmas Christmas would actually be. As he wakes up every day to a new Christmas, it definitely gets you in the holiday spirit, and seeing Santa Claus be so action-packed and have to fight all the other holidays is one of its kind, and I don't remember seeing this in a lot of other kids shows, and it definitely made me feel excited about being into Christmas. I like when Santa Claus turns into this businessman. That's how I imagine Santa Claus looking if he was like a business executive. And of course, Timmy learns his lesson, as he usually does. In the end, we see Cosmo and Wanda as the reindeer, and everything is all happily ever after, which is so cute for the holidays. The Fairly OddParents special is definitely one of my most favorites, and I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't. If it's not interesting enough for Christmas, it's cool that they involve every holiday to be a part of this. So the iCarly Christmas special has a really nice place in my heart because it was definitely doing that common trope where they kind of take an old Christmas movie and reenact the plot, but in the style of the characters for the show. See, up until this point, Dan Schneider's shows didn't really have a Christmas episode. Zoe 101 didn't, neither did Drake and Josh, so this is actually a really important moment. They're basically doing an iCarly webcast in the style of Christmas with Freddie dressed up as a giant flashlight. Spencer has made his own Christmas tree out of junkyard scraps, which is really fun, because of course Spencer is this quirky artist. Of course he's not going to have something legitimate. Carly's uncomfortable because it clearly doesn't ring a normal Christmas. In the middle of the night, Spencer's invention actually catches on fire, and this is one of the early times that this whole thing was developed, like Spencer's whole issue with everything catching on fire. His tree catches on fire and he tries to put it out, but essentially it ruins Christmas, and Carly is devastated. She wishes she could just have a normal Christmas with a normal brother, and this elf decides to grant her her wish. Carly's life completely changes as her brother goes from artistic to more practical and this businessman that wears a suit, and she ends up seeing her apartment completely change. Everything Christmassy is gone.
This looks strangely like the way it ends up looking in the reboot, which is pretty fun to me.
And he's actually dating Freddie's mom, which is disgusting. We always heard about her brother dropping out of law school, but for the first time we're actually seeing what it would be like if he graduated. The elf that's guiding Carly around, it's very, It's a Wonderful Lifestyle, if you guys have seen that old movie. And we get to see why her life is so much worse with her brother being less artistic and more business savvy. And Carly actually changes her mind about wanting her brother to be less artistic and more practical.
Carly also sees that Freddie now has a girlfriend that he clearly doesn't like, which isn't really fair to blame Spencer for. I don't think Freddie can blame his poor life choices on Spencer being an artist. I feel like that's a little unfair, guys. For Christmas, I want accountability. So far, this is the most kissing I've ever seen in any iCarly episode. I don't know how this is a Christmas special when we're watching essentially every character that doesn't like each other kiss. First, it's Spencer and Freddie's mom, then it's Freddie and his girlfriend, and then now it's Carly and Neville. It's just so disturbing that Carly and Neville would ever be a couple in any timeline. I don't understand why her personality would lead to inviting him in, and I really don't understand why it has to happen in specifically a Christmas setting. This doesn't really feel like a Christmas part of the episode. Things feel like they're just going off the rails at this point, and I can't believe I Kiss is another episode. Like, it should be this one. I've never seen so much kissing. Things take a turn for the worse when Carly visits Sam and Juvie. We get a heartbreaking moment where Sam doesn't really recognize her, and it really causes Carly to freak out about this situation.
In the end, Carly's brother is back to how he normally is, this artistic self, and we get to have a really expressive Christmas where everybody's enjoying the holidays and Freddie's not sitting on the mall Santa's lap.
The angel reminds Carly that in order to get his wings, he has to fulfill this wish, and we later learn that the wings are actually chicken wings as opposed to the actual angel wings that we were expecting. Really funny, guys. Really funny.
Overall, this is a really effective Christmas episode with the iCarly universe really takes on the Christmas plotline and makes it a very jolly special. With the character growing by the end of the episode, having this one wish, and going through It's a Wonderful Life's premise until she realizes that she needs to be grateful for what she already has, just makes it all-around good Christmas special. And I love seeing all the teen shows take on the Christmas trope. I mean, I feel like a lot of Disney channels don't really do it, but the Teen Nick specials really do dive into it.
Next, we're gonna do Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. This episode is called Holly Jolly Jimmy.
The Jimmy Neutron holiday special is really funny because I don't remember it super well, but now that I'm rewatching it, it is so endearing. Of course, it's Jimmy, who is this brainiac, basically disproving Santa Claus's possibility of delivering all these presents on time. We get a really fun musical number with everybody in town singing about Christmas and Jimmy not being so into it.
I recently did a retrospective on Jimmy Neutron's first season, if you guys want to check it out. Musical numbers are not common for this show. This is probably the first time I've ever seen these guys sing, and it's really fun. The way the voices go with each other, but also stand out, like Miss Fowle's voice is jarring, and hearing Jimmy sing is really pretty. I like seeing his character, and I'm really getting used to the idea of having musical numbers in all of these specials. I really wasn't expecting My Life as a Teenage Robot. I was definitely expecting SpongeBob and Fairly OddParents, but this is definitely a treat.
Jimmy tells the story of how he doesn't really believe in Christmas because one year he asked for this DNA sample of some sort and Santa didn't bring it to him, so he woke up pretty disappointed. Sheen is immediately pointing out that of course he didn't get it because he almost destroyed the world that holiday. Of course, that's not surprising because Jimmy is this genius and always causing chaos in the town. Jimmy's really defensive because of course he deserved that present, but we kind of get insight onto why he doesn't believe in Santa. So Jimmy's a buzzkill as usual, and they eventually get to the point where they're like, let's travel to the North Pole and prove that he's real. So they pack up everything, get into Jimmy's rocket, and head to the North Pole. Before they head on the trip, Cindy and Libby are trying to get back at Jimmy, but accidentally get sucked into his hypercube. So on this entire trip, Cindy and Libby are floating in this vast, empty void, waiting for it. When they reach the North Pole, they see a bunch of elves packaging the Christmas presents, and it's really fun to see a Christmas episode that's in the style of Jimmy Neutron's CGI animation. Like, I think Jimmy Neutron is definitely a good universe to see Christmas in. It gives me a lot of nostalgic vibes for those old Christmas CG animated things. When they get to the North Pole, they find out that Jimmy accidentally broke Santa, which I didn't realize was possible, so the elves get really mad at him, and they're upset because nobody's able to deliver the toys in time for Christmas. Meanwhile, Mr. Neutron is trying to invent his own holiday with pie, and I think this is the beginning of his obsession with pies. In order to make up for hurting Santa Claus, Jimmy tries to make an invention that allows him to be able to deliver all the presents via his rocket. With Goddard having a reindeer nose, which is adorable, Jimmy sets off to deliver all the presents, and Hugh becomes the new mascot for his Christmas holiday, which is like Pie Day.
While I wasn't expecting the first musical number, the second musical number took me by more surprise. It's sweet watching the parents sing because these characters aren't in it much anyway, so like just having them have a moment to shine as two really funny characters is cute. Definitely relevant to the Christmas special.
And they sing a nice little Christmas number about pie as he wears this duck hat. So Jimmy and his dad spread holiday cheer both in their own way. It's funny because Jimmy spends all this time trying to disprove what Santa is able to do, and yet he is trying to figure out a way to realistically do it within this Christmas time. Jimmy finally meets Santa, who actually helps him deliver the presents, and Jimmy learns that he's actually a lot more scientific than he initially believed. So Jimmy actually starts to like Santa Claus. In the end, Santa Claus gives Jimmy exactly what he asked for Christmas, restoring his belief in the holiday. Every cast member of this show gets their own best present that they deserve, and we end on a nice little closing shot of Jimmy's house. And then happy holidays, everybody. The Jimmy Neutron holiday special was definitely forgotten, but I feel like it's worth remembering with all the musical numbers and Jimmy and his dad's aspirations to bring the holidays back despite scientific differences. I mean, this is such a good one, especially opposing the Fairly OddParents one.
Okay, now we have the infamous SpongeBob Christmas special called Christmas Who. It's actually called Patchy the Pirate Presents Christmas Who, because it's starring Tom Kenny as Patchy the Pirate telling the story, which is super cool. We appreciate that more in retrospect. I feel like at the time it wasn't super exciting and we just thought it was normal, but now having all like the non-exciting seasons of SpongeBob, it's a lot more exciting to go back to these ones. As he's getting ready for the holidays, Patchy the Pirate does fan mail from SpongeBob fans, one of which who says to SpongeBob, I wonder if you like Christmas as much as I do, and Patchy goes on to tell the story about how Bikini Bottom didn't always believe in Santa. So we start with SpongeBob sneaking up on Sandy because he's convinced her tree dome is on fire, when she explains to him that she's actually just preparing for Christmas, and these are all lights. SpongeBob is intrigued. Sandy goes on to tell him what Christmas is all about, and he's excited. He tries to spread the excitement to the Krusty Krab, where he tells Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs about this guy, and Patrick refers to Santa Claus as a genie, which is funny. He has everybody create a list of things that they want for Christmas, and Patrick breaks his list like 3 times, eventually asking for more paper instead, and Squidward just refuses to do it, because he's kind of a grouch. They shoot their wishes up to the sea, which kind of feels like pollution reversed. I mean, can the ocean pollute the earth the same way the earth can pollute the ocean? That would actually be kind of crazy. Squidward gets tired of SpongeBob's antics, especially through this really fun musical number, as Patrick and SpongeBob sing "It's Time for the Very First Christmas." And somehow everybody in Bikini Bottom knows how to act. This is one of the most Christmassy things Nickelodeon has ever done to date, because it's so good at just celebrating Christmas and making it feel like just this all-around happy day. And Patrick jumps on top of the tree like a star. SpongeBob shows up at Squidward's house that night like an accountant and basically is like, hey, we need to get your wish list out there. Squidward has had enough. He pushes SpongeBob out. But the next morning when Santa doesn't come, everybody thinks SpongeBob lied to them about Christmas. Squidward celebrates, but realizes that he's going a little too far at SpongeBob's expense. We see a picture of a donkey, and guys, I know this is a kid's show, but we all know what that means. SpongeBob gives Squidward his present, which is a really nice clarinet, and Squidward feels terrible. SpongeBob, on the brink of full-on depression, is sulking at his house. I forgot how fun it was in these old episodes of SpongeBob to see him have a moment where he was just really depressed, because I feel like that happened a lot. Squidward tries to cheer him up by dressing as Santa, making him super happy, and when he thinks that's it, SpongeBob starts showing up with people in Bikini Bottom to show them he's real. Next thing you know, there's a giant line of everybody wanting presents, and Squidward doesn't have anything to give them, so he starts handing out things in his home. In the end, Squidward gets a note from Santa Claus, the real Santa Claus, thanking him for his giving. And then we have like a really uncomfortably long sequence of Santa Claus flying through Bikini Bottom, which is underwater, and I don't know how that's supposed to work. Patchy signs us off for the holidays, getting a bomb from his parrot, and we see a Happy Holidays title card, and that is the SpongeBob Christmas special. This one is super fun. I can't get over how meaningful this one is. It's definitely one of the iconic Christmas specials that started it all. Like, I don't think they would have had, Back at the Barnyard, Danny Phantom, even My Life as a Teenage Robot if this one didn't go so successfully. They've had a lot of Christmas type episodes, but going full on in the Christmas definitely felt real here. And I'm so glad they did it. Christmas Who competes with Jimmy Neutron, Timmy Turner, My Life as a Teenage Robot for some of the best songs in the series, in the holiday specials. Next, we're gonna head to the All Grown Up Christmas. So this next one is one I haven't really seen in a long time. It's the All Grown Up Christmas special, The Finster Who Stole Christmas. So I didn't get the original Rugrats one because I grew up with it slightly less than this one, but this one is pretty interesting. All Grown Up had a really cool run on Nickelodeon. I definitely think it is one of those revivals that are better than the rest. We take all the babies from Rugrats and we age them up a little bit, and it's actually pretty cute. Not sure if that's nostalgia or what. So we start with the kids walking home from school. We see the Christmas decorations that the town is celebrating. Susie's talking about how she's going to sing at her church for Christmas, and Tommy and Dill are talking about probably making a song for Hanukkah since they're Jewish. I like that callback to the original episode because I know in the original series they were Jewish and talked about it multiple times. Chucky is depressed, because he's always depressed, about how he never had a really good tree. We see like a really cute home video of Chucky when he's little, and we get to see the Rugrats Chucky, which is a really cool Easter egg. The one time it would be relevant to see them as children again. And he fantasizes about what it would be like if they had an actual tree instead of all these, like, broken, lame ones. Like, maybe it would make their Christmas better. When they're Christmas tree shopping, he finds the perfect one, but his dad doesn't want it. He wants the ugly one, making Chucky feel depressed. Chucky comes across a Christmas tree just laying by the trash, and he thinks it's just being thrown out, so he takes it. He shows his dad, and his dad's not super excited, because he says it doesn't really feel like a Finster tree, but Chucky obviously wants him to be happy, so he is. Then at their hangout, the Java, it's revealed that somebody stole a Christmas tree in town, and of course Chucky is immediately nervous. He runs to the bathroom to throw up. Then he confesses to Tommy that he stole the tree and didn't realize he was stealing it and didn't mean to steal it. Tommy just says to come clean, but he doesn't really go to that immediately. He has the idea to get the family another tree instead, but it doesn't work. Chucky decides to come clean and tell his dad, but then everybody's celebrating and they're super happy about the tree, so he doesn't want to. He has a nightmare about the tree being set on fire. And meanwhile in the B-plot, Kimmy and her mom are trying to get home for Christmas, which is really cute. Later, Chucky feels horrible, so he lashes out at the mall Santa, where he admits that he stole the tree out of guilt. Then later at his dad's party, He's sulking when Tommy gives him the idea. Tommy, Timmy, Jimmy, oh my god, this network is so annoying with these first names. Tommy gives him the idea to unsteal the tree. So then there's a sequence of Chucky dressing up like a robber and anti-stealing the tree, which means like he's going to return it. They leave it at the house and Chucky basically pretends like their tree got stolen. Kimmy and her mom come home and they all celebrate a nice Christmas with the family. And then we get a little sweet moment where everybody's at church and gets to see Susie singing her song at church, and then Tom and Dill sing their Jewish song. And that's the end. This one was really cute because it carries on the tradition of having Christmas-themed episodes without necessarily having the family be Christmassy in the Rugrats universe. Because if it's a show about family, it's really important that you have holiday episodes, because obviously that's like the big drive of what family is about. Really sweet episode. Next we have the Danny Phantom Christmas episode. So this one what I was not expecting to enjoy so much. I grouch, and we see it as the friends are shopping in the mall and he is basically a Debbie Downer. After he's being surrounded by a bunch of trees, his mom, Maddie, comes in to save the day. Danny comes to the ghost zone to try to stop the writer, and he runs into all of his other enemies standing there waiting for him. Seems like the writer is using them to tell the story even further. Not only get out of the ghost zone, but can see all of his friends miserable about the holidays because everything was ruined. And of course he feels bad about himself because he deserves to! Danny's surprised when all of his enemy ghosts come back and help him restore Christmas. Which is really cute because, you know, they have the electricity ghost come in and save the day, the lunch lady's back, Skulker, and Danny finally gets Christmas spirit, surprising his family with gifts. And the Danny Phantom one is really unexpected because
my head is full of pretty lumps. Can you believe it's been almost 17 years since we got our first Drake and Josh Christmas special? And that was after the show. It was kind of like a revival. And there's only one time of year that I could talk about something like this, and it is Christmas. Drake and Josh kind of did the impossible, where they never had a single holiday episode until they decided to make this full-on movie. I remember thinking at that age, why isn't Drake and Josh having specials like that? They did Drake and Josh Go Hollywood, but that's essentially the opposite of this type of movie. With that movie being a classic, it's cool to look at Christmas and actually see it as a better film. But is it better? Is really what I'm gonna figure out today. And if this movie is really worth recommending to watch with your family, dogs, and estranged grandmother at the holidays. So let's get into the Christmas spirit and check out the Drake and Josh Christmas movie. Could have been in the theaters, but nobody asked me. It starts out pretty awesome because we have an awesome opening sequence. I don't know why, for me, the opening sequence tells me how seriously they take these movies. And we start with like a snow globe and all the characters' names coming up in a similar way they did in Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood to just show that they're serious about this. No laugh track again, and this time it's actually shot on location, which is a lot better. Drake is driving through the car, and we actually get to see all the town and then actually Drake and Josh's house, which is cool because we only see them in establishing shots before. This is also when iCarly started to air, so that's the only thing that's really weird about it, like seeing Jerry Trainer in this not as a main role, knowing he's the main role of iCarly.
I distinctly ordered a diet root beer, and this tastes like
I'm talking to children!
The parents go on vacation throughout this movie, and that's actually really funny, but there's not that much to talk about with it, so we're gonna kind of have to move on from that.
And that's the ocean, and that's a big rock, and this is your bungalow right here.
It starts with another wacky event with this giant float getting out of Josh's hands and flying down the neighborhood. Something really wacky, kind of like the lasers they had at the beginning of the last movie, but this one's even more intense. And this time we get to see the premiere. Seeing everything we saw before, like the mall, the premiere, is actually making the Drake and Josh world a lot wider than I thought it was. I'm so happy they came out with this movie, because at the time I was probably like on the fence about it. I thought that like the show was over, we weren't doing any more Drake and Josh, but this was a nice comeback. I feel like we just can't ignore Josh's new haircut and style. Like, he changes so much over the course of so many years. It's just distracting, but not in a bad way, in like a the show ages pretty well kind of way.
Haircuts? Yeah, haircuts. I mean, look at that hair.
Unruly, that's what it is.
We get Helen back again, and I love Helen. She is so funny, and even funnier without the laugh track.
I'm going to celebrate my divorce.
Whoa, wait. You just got married.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks were delightful. Week 3 was unpleasant. Week 4 was downright irritating. By week 5, I was out the door. See ya. Good riddance. No more Helen for you.
Track. I don't know why I didn't see her in Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood, but we should have. I feel like more characters should have been incorporated with that. But then again, the 4th season is when they really rounded out the ensemble cast, like Eric and Craig. So it's not a surprise that we didn't really get there in that movie. But this movie takes everything to the next level, bringing back all the people after Really Big Shrimp. We even get Gavin here, and Drake is Santa Claus, which I think is kind of insane. And Josh is the bag.
Hi, Sack.
Merry Christmas!
Drake ends up doing a little Christmas show on the top of the mall, and this is when we're talking about, like, our Christmas plans. Like, what are we doing for Christmas? And Drake is going to Vegas, which is kind of crazy because he's a kid. They talk about this every now and then, but I didn't realize they were still, like, this young. And Josh is kind of upset about it because he wants to keep everybody together for the holidays. Josh actually sees people, like, crashing Drake's Christmas performance, and then the cops show up thinking that he is the problem, and he falls off the roof into the back trunk, which I think is an outlandish stunt that really didn't need to happen, but it's a movie, so it's obviously a lot funnier that it did. I mean, I'm glad they had this. And Josh ends up going to full-on prison because of all of this. I did not expect that to happen.
I didn't do anything!
Shut up!
But it's funny because that's something you would expect to happen in a movie. Josh befriends one of his cellmates, and they actually start getting along after being scared, and Drake ends up having to bail Josh out. They end up going to the courtroom, being represented by Helen, which I kind of think is hilarious, and Drake and Josh are both at risk for going to jail at this point, so the stakes have never been higher. Oh, they're gonna go to jail because Drake tried to bail Josh out of jail, which is insane. I've never seen an episode where Drake and Josh go to jail, and I love that. That's hilarious. But yeah, so they're in the courtroom trying to figure out what's going to happen because of it, and then they get told by this legal guy that in order to get out of jail, they have to do community service, and that would be give this one specific family of kids without parents the best Christmas ever. And it's cool because it feels like it's not necessarily a Drake and Josh episode, but they're like the main parts of it, and I love that when they do that for movies, especially Christmas movies. So yeah, Drake and Josh meet the family, and they're all like the opposite of them. Like, one likes to jump all across the furniture, one of them doesn't speak at all except for gibberish.
We're looking for Mary Alice.
And it feels like very iCarly in this bit. Oh, and there's this sweet little girl that is like the most redeemable of them all, like trying to be the Cindy Lou Who, like the innocent one that's like, please help us have a good Christmas. And so they fail miserably multiple times to a point where they even lose their clothes at one point. By the way, they copied that from Zoe 101. It happened a couple years ago. You can't repeat all the old things. Megan becomes intertwined with the plot.
Either put on some clothes or join a gym.
As she actually starts helping the boys, which is funny because she's mature enough to be Carly Shay at this point, and we're just gonna ignore it because we want to pretend like Drake and Josh still exists outside of iCarly. So yeah, after failure, even Josh trying to get them a Christmas tree, things get worse and worse.
If you squint, it looks kind of nice.
And things aren't going well for Audrey and Walter either. Their entire vacation is screwed up when they're finding themselves at this like straw cabin on the ocean, and basically there's a giant storm and they're screwed this whole movie. Drake tries to connect with the rebel kid and actually give him advice, which I like. I like that it's about like insight and actually has a little bit of backbone and heart to it. Something that Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood didn't have. Like, it didn't need to introduce the characters again. It didn't need to establish all the goals before we knew what was at stake. Like, this movie does a good job of being full circle. Like, they do all the goal setting and the character arcs at the beginning and actually fully pay them off toward the end, making it more of a legitimate movie. So it's kind of cool that Nickelodeon definitely dove into this and used all the stuff they learned about making a good movie and put it into here. Because they make I'd Go to Japan after this, which is the iCarly 3-part movie, and trust me, it feels like they didn't learn anything. You got so good on Drake and Josh Merry Christmas that they didn't even do it good? I don't even understand that. So Drake does this whole performance for the kids to celebrate Christmas, and it kind of gets them in high spirits, almost thinking that the plots are going to be resolved, but then the prosecutor or the guy that's keeping an eye on them ends up telling the kids exactly what they're doing, which is like, hey, like, you promised you would have these kids having a good time, and the kids realize that Drake and Josh were not there to actually befriend them, but to just not go to jail. And it's kind of heartbreaking. The rebel kid and the sweet little girl are like, no!
and they feel horrible. Like, they end up not going to jail, but did they really win in the end? That's when we get to this third act, which I think Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood didn't have. They didn't really have a lot of buffering room. They just kind of went from one thing to another and didn't need to have all these plot arcs. So Drake and Josh try to be redeemable characters and actually give these kids a Christmas they never had by doing the one thing that they thought would be a really awesome thing, making snow happen. Crazy Steve has this giant wood chipper throughout this movie, and he's like bragging about it the whole time, which also feels like a Spencer thing. Like, you might as well have just made this an iCarly crossover at a certain point, because Spencer is essentially in this movie as Crazy Steve, and we can't forget that.
My head is full of pretty lumps.
I guess this is just a whole Three Stooges bits where Drake and Josh are incapable of doing anything, so every time they try, things just get worse and worse. The prosecutor guy ends up showing up at Drake and Josh's house where they started having a full Christmas. Like, the kids ended up forgiving Drake and Josh, and everybody comes together to celebrate one last time while Audrey and Walter are away.
Honey? Hey, where are you going?
Home for Christmas!
And it's sweet. Like, we have a Christmas tree. We get to see the Drake and Josh house in a way we never had before. I remember when I was this age watching this special being like, dang, they never had a Christmas episode ever. Like, you know, you didn't realize it until the series was over that Drake and Josh had never really celebrated the holidays at all. So it's cool that this movie kind of filled in more than one experience of fan service. And by the end, everybody is able to forgive them. We even get a cameo from Mindy to show that her and Josh are still together, which I find pretty sweet. And yeah, so everybody wins in the end. The kid that never talked has his first words, which is such a stereotypical, like, movie trope. And then Josh's cellmate from the beginning of the movie comes back dressed as Santa, which is hilarious.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and all that stuff.
And the whole thing resolves with a nice day in the snow, and everybody gets along. The end. So, Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood versus Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh. You can definitely tell why Nickelodeon cared so much about keeping the things that worked about their feature films while not ruining it the way they eventually would ruin I Go to Japan or any of the Victorious specials. I Party with Victorious, for example. Like, they just completely ditched the production value and cinematography of it all because I guess they just didn't want to do something that expensive again. But as you can see with Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, it's worth putting the time and effort into this. I feel like Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood was the closest thing to doing an iParty with Victorious like special, where they had an hour and 20 minutes, but were they gonna use it? Not really. But yeah, Drake and Josh Goes Hollywood, slightly better than all the other Nickelodeon movies that came after it, but then Drake and Josh Merry Christmas ended up sealing the deal and putting the best of all worlds into this, making it to the level that Wizards of Waverly Place got, that Hannah Montana got, and better than the Sweet Life movie, because the Sweet Life movie is horrible. But yeah, Drake and Josh, definitely a great improvement over time. Thank God they had 2 or 3 really good specials to kind of define what it was like to watch Drake and Josh at that time, and they're memorable. They definitely bring in the holiday spirit, so all around a really good experience, both movies. And Nickelodeon just got better and then worse again.
There's so many good holiday specials out there, and Nickelodeon, nothing short of one of the best networks to put them on. Whether it was the ones you forgot about, like All Grown Up or iCarly, to the most iconic ones like SpongeBob and Fairly OddParents, Nickmas always delivered every holiday. Well, I mean, not every holiday, but specifically Christmas is what I'm going for. I had so much fun revisiting all of these, and I forgot how much merit these specials came with. Like, this essentially was my Christmas. Like, if you had to name what Christmas was about, and you asked me, like, it would be cookies, it would be Christmas tree, but it would also just be watching television with my family. And Nickelodeon really made it something special, which is why I loved to go through all of these with you guys. Make sure to check out some of my other videos. I don't have a lot of subscribers right now, and I really want to up my game. So if you guys can like, subscribe, share with your friends, anything. In the meantime, this is Johnny2000 signing off. Have a great Christmas! Or Hanukkah, you know.